Hello and welcome to Reno's Regions. This week we take a investigative look into the workplace because jobs are very important both to society, economies, and people, as a lot of people can get their work ethic from working at jobs. I know for me, I have had many jobs in my life. Very recently, I have had to take a leave from my current job as I'm about to get surgery for my ACL. And in doing so, I won't be able to walk and I won't be able to really do much of anything but recover. My first job that I've ever had where I got paid, I worked as a track coach. I got paid $1,000 for 3 months of work to teach track and field to little kids. And I did that at my old high school. And I would sit there and record starts of my athletes, and I would use this program, this Adobe program, and I would break down how their form was and how their technique was, and I would show them, and then we'd work on that, and I would give them exercises, and I would give them tips, and just impart my knowledge on how to be a great track athlete, how to be a great sprinter, as I was. And then after that, I took up a job as a summer counselor working at a track and field camp. And I remember doing that, and I did the same thing, but these were even younger kids. And so I would just be funny with them, and they would jump on my back and want piggyback rides. And so I'd run around and buck them off, stuff like that. And I teach them about what it's like to be a good person and try to be a good role model to them, impart on them hard work and determination, and how you can achieve anything in life if you put your mind to it. All the things that I was told as a child that I still believe to this day. After that, I moved to Texas, and after moving to Texas, I didn't work for a while, and then I got my first job here in Texas, working at TxDOT, which is the Texas Department of Transportation, and that was a summer internship. And I would do data entry, and I learned a lot. I had about 10 coworkers, and they were all middle-aged men, and they would just impart onto me wisdom from their lives, and I'd talk to them about what's going on in my life, and they'd give me advice and give me some guidance on what to do, and they would just try to shape me into being, an outstanding member of society and a good person. And then after that, I also picked up a job at In-N-Out Burger. I worked there for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. And there, I learned more about structure and how to overcome a lot of mental weakness, as they try very hard to get you to be the best you can and not to use any excuses in life. And I worked diligently there. I had many managers push me very hard to be the best I could be. I had many people, customers come up to me and compliment me on how well I was doing and my work ethic and how attentive I am to people, and I could only thank them. On my wall in my room, as I'm in my room now, I'm looking at this compliment that I got, and it talks about, we come to In-N-Out Burger all the time, but we're going to come more often just to see Reno because he did such a wonderful job. And it was just those things, just seeing the validation of my work through a compliment, very simple. Someone calling in saying I did a good job. And that's one reason why I wanted to talk about jobs, as they're very important to people, as they're not just a means of money to buy nice things and to have a comfortable living, but it's a way to give your life validation. People take job quizzes to see where they should do, and some people have to go through trial and error and have many different jobs, and some people just find the right job. And so I reached out to many of my friends, and I asked them, what was their favorite job or least favorite job, what's their dream job, and things like that. And so we'll hear from them. Enjoy.
Hey Reno, this is Jared. First off, just want to say thanks for having me on your show today. Really appreciate it, and you have an amazing fantasy football team as always, buddy. Okay, a job that I had that I really loved, and this may be surprising. So last summer, I was taking a course over the summer at UT, and I needed some extra cash, and I wanted to do something pretty easy. So I worked at the Amazon warehouse in Austin. And now this is summertime. So they had a ton of people apply to this position. And this is literally just moving boxes onto shelves and then basically putting them into the trucks that go out to ship them. So me and one of my buddies decided to apply there. We got paid $15 an hour, which, I mean, that's not bad for working a pretty easy job. And there were so many people working there that we had so little work to actually do there. And it was incredible. And especially because it's, it's a big company like Amazon, it's really not that big of a deal if we're not really working too hard, if you know what I mean. So they had 2 break rooms. And in the break rooms, they just had refrigerators full of water bottles and popsicles. And in the morning, we get there and you find out what you're going to do in the morning from the managers. And the managers are pretty cool of the warehouse. And they basically assign you to, like, whether or not you're unloading the trucks or putting the things from the unloading into these little crates to be sent to the trucks. There's a bunch of different little jobs, and they had so many people that they would put people to literally just walk around the warehouse and pick up trash. Like, it was so easy at this place. So we get there. It takes about an hour and a half at the beginning to do the first job. So whether that's unloading the trucks or putting the boxes into these crates, you get one of the two. So easy, or you're picking up trash. After that hour and a half, everybody goes on break while they do things with the computer to get it all set up. So on that break, they have ping pong tables, and we would just go play ping pong, hang around. We were there for like an hour in the waiting room doing nothing. It was so easy. And then after that, some people would go back to work, but you could honestly just stay in there and do nothing. Like, so my shift was like 4 or 5 hours a day. And you could call in and say you didn't want to go in any day of the week. So it was super easy. So whenever I didn't want to go in, I just didn't have to go in. And you're there for like 4.5 hours, and I probably did 2 hours worth of work that whole time. We just hung out, played ping pong, ate popsicles, and avoided doing work. So that was a pretty cool job that I liked. Honestly, I don't really like the company Amazon, but it was nice to get paid $15 an hour to not do much. But now that I'm almost graduating, want to get more of a real job coming up when I graduate in December. So, times are tough, and it's hard to find a job out there. So we'll see how it's going. As of right now, I got nothing in the works except for mass applying to places like I'm sure a lot of people are. And I'm a mechanical engineer, so even I can't find anything. But I have hope that hopefully before the end of the year, I will find something. Well, Reno, I hope you're doing well. Thanks for having me on your show, and love you, buddy.
Hi, my name is Ariel, and my favorite job I've ever had was being station manager of KVRX. I was station manager from 2019 to 2020, and it was nothing short of a dream. There was never a day where I felt like I had to go into work, or that I didn't want to, or that it felt laborious. That was never the case. It was simply an opportunity and a blessing for me to be a part of the university in a student leadership role and a part of the Austin music scene that I grew up fascinated with and adored, and never thought that I would have the chance to actually be in it and contribute to it. And also, this position allowed me to recognize where a lot of my passions lie, which includes wanting to support and contribute to the experiences of students while they're at university. So whether that be inside or outside of the classroom, I want to do what I can to enrich the journey of these young adults and people at any stage in their life that find themselves in college. And KVRX was a really big opportunity to do that. And I think the culture of KVRX contributed to those positive experiences a lot. you'd be hard pressed, I say, to find another organization on campus that has the same commitment to attitude and ethics that KVRX does since its inception in the 80s. And although time goes by and students graduate and leave, something is always constant with KVRX in that it's always a space for difference and an evolution and forward thinking, as well as this commitment to be some of the best versions of ourselves and always learning and growing. And that really shapes our personal journeys through our time at KVRX, as well as our relationship with the music that we spin in our jobs. And my leadership style that I learned that I have when I was station manager also contributed to some of the very wacky experiences that I found myself in. Mostly I think of myself as station manager. It's my job, sure, to lead the station and its general direction in the future towards success. But I feel like I do that best when I take a back seat and I'm here to support my staff members as they pursue whatever ambitions and goals that they have. Sometimes those ambitions and goals include taking a limo to Barracuda, which we did, and that was really nuts. Rest in peace, Barracuda, but that was really, really fun. Also, one of the best memories I have of college in general happened in fall 2019, and that was the Anamanaguchi show that KVRX co-sponsored. And that was just absolutely a dream come true because I was a teenager watching Scott Pilgrim, loving Scott Pilgrim, and Anamanaguchi made the soundtrack to the video game. And so when we had this opportunity to co-sponsor the show, I was blown away that I was somehow lucky enough to have this timeline intersect where KVRX could support that chiptune rock, 8-bit rock in that way. So I would have never anticipated being in that situation. And wow, I cherish that memory. I cherish that memory a lot. Sometimes it is difficult on paper to be the leader of an organization that has 200 DJs and 20 something odd staff members, but KVRX is such a well-oiled machine that all of the departments function in the way that they are supposed to, and we're always growing and changing to where everything gets done that needs to get done. And it's a very autonomous entity, and I could not have done that without the support of any of my staff and DJ members as well. So KVRX is honestly a well-oiled machine, and that's one of the major contributors to our success. And finally, I'd like to say I'm very thankful for my memories in KVRX, and it's taught me what it feels like to have a job that I'm very passionate about and that I enjoy, and one that has a positive work environment. And I know that I may not ever feel that way again. I can't emulate what it's like to be a 20, 21, 22-year-old college student, but I do know the qualities that make me feel wonderful when I'm working. So I seek to find those again. It doesn't have to be a carbon copy, but now I know what I'm looking for. And that's only because of KVRX. Thank you.
Hey, Reno. Thanks for having me on your show. So a job that I really loved about 2 years ago when I was a junior here at UT, I was working as a social media intern for Margin Walker Presents. They're the live event marketing company here in Austin, locally owned and everything, which is super cool. So I got to work social media for them, which first of all was really cool because growing up here in Austin, I had been attending so many Margin Walker shows. So it was really awesome to be able to work alongside those people and create those events that are so memorable for others. So I got to work on their last South by show, which was in 2019. I also got to work the Awesome Music Awards, which was pretty cool. I was the backstage champagne girl, which wasn't like a hard job, but I really got to meet a lot of different people. I remember I met Shaggy Graves that night. And I also just got to meet a lot of the industry people around here. And although I wasn't getting paid, um, I still really enjoyed it just because I knew I was helping create those memorable experiences for people that I had since I was a teenager here in Austin.
Okay. Hi, Reno. Thank you for asking me to be on your show. My name is Allison. And we're talking about my favorite job that I've ever had and that experience. So, I think it was, spring 2019. I worked for this performance art festival called Fusebox. And I've been working since I was 15, and it's all been like service industry jobs, restaurant jobs, baristing, whatever. But this job, I was essentially like a social media coordinator, and I would go to different events and just post on the Instagram for just stories. And I got paid, like $250 for 4 days. And I believe it was the 18th through the 21st of April last year. But it was non-stop. And at the time, I was still working my other job. I was working as a barista at a gelato store. And I was still full-time on campus. And this is pre-COVID, so everything was in person. And my schedule would start around like 6:30 in the morning and end up maybe 10 o'clock at night. So having the second job on top of it, it was insane. But for this festival, the activities would start pretty early in the day, around noonish. I would go to class and then go take the bus home, grab my car, go to whatever event I was supposed to be at that I've signed up for, and just take photos on my phone, like nothing professional, and just post like, hey guys, come on down, like there's this X, Y, and Z happening. And every night it would end with like this huge party in this giant warehouse on East 7th or East 6th, and it would be a dedicated performer or performers for the night, and then all of the performers from the previous day or the day of or future performers, they would all show up. So you got to hang out with like international artists, local artists, just a bunch of people you want to know, if that makes sense. And it was insane. I think I slept maybe 2 or 3 hours a day and go right back to it. What was most memorable of it all, though, was even though it was chaotic and crazy and very sleep deprived, I still look back on it and like compare my jobs or my career choices or my extracurricular activities to how that event played out for me. And because of it, I was able to make connections, networking. I know it's really cliche, but I mean, it's fun when you're an artist and you're hanging out with other artists that are doing what you want to do in the next year, in the next 5 years, the next 10 years. Events like that and situations like that, especially for younger people, especially us in college or artists living out in a city that's far from home, it really is kind of a source of inspiration. And it's really remarkable how like small events like that or small chances that are given to you can help you track your way on your career or track your way with how you interact with certain people and how you interact within your own art community or your community itself. So working as a social media promoter for a performance art festival out of my now 6 or 7 years of customer service and retail and all that had to be my most favorite job ever. Thanks, Reno.
Hey, Reno. Thank you so much for hitting me up about my favorite job. First of all, I've had so many jobs since high school in a number of different areas. I've worked in childcare, I've worked in restaurants, I've worked in retail, I've worked in real estate, so many things. And I guess my favorite out of all of the places I've worked would probably have to be the restaurant that I worked in this past summer. Because I really went into it very grudgingly. So just a background on this. I worked at a restaurant owned by the owners of this restaurant, Labaten, back in high school. And when I graduated and I, finished that summer and I went to college, I was like, I'm never coming to this place again. I'm never going to work here again. This sucks. I hate it. I was being dramatic, and of course, things happen. I found myself back in a pretty much the same environment again 4 years later after college, and it was pretty much it's a very humbling experience because I went through 4 years of college. I graduated, and I was thinking that now I'm too good for this kind of stuff and I need to do better things. But then this was the only job that was available to me, and I needed to make some money. So I was just hosting and occasionally waitressing, and I learned a lot about humility and about swallowing your pride and not thinking you're too good for anything. And I also really loved my coworkers at this job. They were just fantastic. We were like a family. There was a workplace dynamic, and we all kind of had a different little role in it, and we were all, we'd have the same frustrations and we'd have the same, celebrations, which was really special too. For example, one of my coworkers got approved for her citizenship while I was on a shift with her, and she was checking her status on my phone, and she was so thrilled when she saw that her citizenship request had been approved, and she could move forward with the application. And it just felt really special to be there in that moment. We were, just in the middle of a shift. There were a couple of tables and a few to-go orders, and this huge thing happened for her. So I think it was very special. It was a sushi restaurant, I should say, and it was all of us were immigrants, or non-Americans. So we all had our own special flavor to the workplace dynamic too. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite place I've ever worked, even though it wasn't glamorous or visual or anything like that. I learned a lot, and I think that made me a better person.
As a last semester senior, I've been asking lots of people around me about how they got their jobs. I have been asking Tiff's Treats director of marketing how he got his job and how he got his start, as I was interested in doing him for a photojournalism project. I asked the cashier at H-E-B how they got their job. I asked the store manager of H-E-B how he got his job. I asked one of the people who was stocking the shelves as a product merchandiser how she got her start. Even my physical therapist, who has been working as a physical therapist for over 35 years, how they got their start. My doctor as well. Just anyone and everyone trying to get a good grasp of how people become who they are, how they grow into the developed person that we see. Because I think about my father and my mother, their path to life and how they got to where they're at. My dad didn't even graduate high school. he took one college class as a travel agency class so he can get a discount on a Jamaica cruise line. And my dad was an excellent salesman, and that's one thing that I have been told I'm very good at, and I've just grown up in. My entire family, all they do is business. Everyone in my family has started their own business, and I was taught many things in life. No effort, no return. You don't get no by not asking. And so my next future plan, my next future goal in life for jobs is to work in sales, hopefully. I hope to get a sales position soon. I've had some people throughout my life tell me, once I get a degree, come look for me. And so I've been reaching out to those people, and hopefully soon I'll be hired at a firm and be working either as a life insurance salesman in San Francisco or a warehouse salesman in Columbus, Ohio, a marketer in San Antonio, someone in the office of a factory in Hong Kong or in Malaysia. And I hope that if you're listening to this program, you think long and hard about what you want to be and what you want to do in your life, because if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's an adage that I truly believe in. So if you have a job that you do not enjoy, do not like, you should leave, because the detrimental impact to your mental health and your physical health is not worth it. You can look for places to work elsewhere. As my business teacher used to tell me, once you get your first job, start looking for your next. You should always think about climbing the ladder of success. You should not be content by being stagnant. You should always be constantly moving in life. And that's one thing I think very, very deeply about in my life, which is to never settle, to constantly keep going. You have to grind every day. As David Goggins says, you have to take 10% of what you're doing and keep applying it and keep growing and keep doing better every day. And that's one reason. That's one thing I hope people take from my program today, is that you have so much potential. To end the show, I will play some of my favorite bits about jobs and quotes about talent. Enjoy.
Come on, what do you want me to do?
I don't care. Yeah, get a job.
Oh, get a job?
Yeah.
Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet and squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into jobland where jobs grow on jobbies?
Now we're wasting time. We just get out of
You
here.
want me to walk? I'm walking.
Just walk.
I can't stand you guys.
Do I have talent, Dad?
Of course you have talent. You got all the talent in the world.
Can I be a baseball player?
You can be anything you want to be. Remember, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do the right thing, then nothing happens. But when you do right, guess what? Good things happen. You hear me?
You're right.
Wasted talent. That was something my father would talk about all my life.
Come on, let's hurry so we can catch the start of the game.
So I've been grinding lately. Had to go back to the lab, readjusting my brain, put a lot of miles in. Every day, run over 20 miles a day, getting up early, going to bed early, eating the right. This last week, started taking a toll on me. I usually don't think too much. Get my shoes on, head out. I've been thinking a lot. That internal voice has been talking to me, talking about, oh man, you're tired. Looking at my shoes about 30 minutes before I put them on, pushing back the time of that I go out to go run. So I decided to tape record myself. That internal voice I put on tape sounds like a straight bitch when I listen to them. So if you ever have a hard time out there, tape yourself. Listen to what kind of bitch you're being. Stay hard.